On this week's City Skylines 2 o'clock, when is XP not XP? Why were several streamers left hanging around in Germany this week? And the 81 player collaboration update. All this with this week's special guest, Shawn Builds.
How's it hanging, dudes?
It's really good. It's hanging very nicely in the UK. How's things over there in America?
Very hot. Very, very hot.
A little bit of seasonal content, eh? A little bit of seasonal content.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Before we get started, I'd like to apologise to everybody who's listening in. Shawn already knows it's very early for me over here in the UK and I haven't had coffee yet. So if I'm kind of a little bit slow and making very little sense, that'll be the reason why. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Right, okay, so this week, Development Diary number 10. It was originally planned to be the Citizen Simulation and Life Path, but this was moved back a week so that it could include the latest updates to the Citizens models in the screenshots and the feature highlight too. So, this shows that the game is still in the tweaking stages, ironing out the creases, and it also means that the footage next week should include at least some current build action. So my first question to you, Shawn, is what changes do you think we're going to see this week compared to the footage in the previous diaries?
Well, there's a lot of footage you could check out from people walking across intersections, and just the way they walk is very robotic-like. And then there's some similar roboticness in the people that they finally put on the motorcycles. It's very stiff. There's not a lot of fluid motion. Like they need to really work on the rigid bodies of the individual models, I think, for sure.
Yeah, so just you're thinking more about character animations then, rather than anything. Would that do you think they'll be adding more actual different characters, or do you think the character range is probably set by now?
Probably. I wouldn't see why not if you have the opportunity and you're officially moving something back. I mean, I would add and change and fix as much as you possibly can because you have the open window to do so, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, that'll be this week's Dev Diary next week, and last week's Dev Diary this week. It's shuffling the pack makes things work.
Yeah.
Anyway, so game progression was moved forward to this week, to Dev Diary number 10. Let's talk about XP. Specifically, expansion points. Expansion points? I don't know anybody who's going to call... maybe I'm wrong. Is it just me? Is this the only time that any of us will ever call XP expansion points? Or is it just forever going to be experience points? What's your take?
It's just a themed version of XP. I mean, it's expansion points. You can call it expansion points, but it's really experience points. It's whatever you really want it to mean. I mean, officially it's expansion points, but it's just like a themed version of regular XP, right? So
yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, it's I like that take. It's a theme within a theme. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So anyway, expansion points. So cities will now level up based not on population but on XP, using milestones that we're familiar with. Each milestone then unlocks the basic features of a new aspect, such as buses and taxis and transportation, and then we get to choose how we spend our available development points, more about those I guess, in transportation development, meaning that we can add harbours or completely ignore them to focus on something like, say, education instead. Do you find this a fresh but intuitive direction for the game?
Yeah, like, you know, some of my favorite games have like tech trees, and this is like the development point system is similar to like a tech tree. Like in Civilization, you have like a tech tree, and that's how you advance, and that's how you grow, and that's just how you advance in general in the game. And I think that this is a fresh way to do it for this game. It's a great, I think, tried and true method that would just rolls over well for Cities Skylines 2. And on top of all of that, the fact that you can go back and forth and just pick what you want to pick and just kind of really tailor your city to how you want to make it. If you make your own map, this is going to be even more important for you. But on top of even more, it's like, well, I do feel like they should have a lot more within the trees, and maybe that will come with DLCs. But I kind of feel like if you click airports, then you get then in your airports tab, you'll just have a bunch of stuff to click from. Which I wish there was like mini trees within trees, if that makes sense. You know?
Oh, that's pretty cool idea. Yeah, I've got to say from the video this week, there was a lot to, if you're going through frame by frame, there's a lot to actually digest and take from this week's video. The tech trees, I feel some of them, I don't know, they aren't necessarily intuitive. I don't think they're set up well for gameplay, but some of them don't necessarily make the ultimate amount of sense. I don't have one in front of me now, and like I say, I'm half asleep at the moment. But there are things, especially like with the airports. There's a difference between the airport and the international airport, and I can't remember, and I might be getting this one wrong, but the sort of the example I'm giving would be something along the lines of you don't need to unlock the airports to have the international airport, which would seem a bit weird. I might be wrong with that specific fact, but there are a few things down the line. There's with subways, you have to unlock trams first to get subways, which seems
Right.
a weird thing to have to unlock to get to a subway, in my opinion. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I think that naturally you get above ground road before you get below ground road, just in general, I guess. So I guess it's not too crazy of an idea to switch. But then personal preference for me doesn't really matter. So I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah, indeed. So right, so I've got myself a quote down. I don't know why I've written this down, but I guess it's just like an explained moment. So if you don't know what's going on, if you go, what's always about expansion points, XPs, and what was that about development points? So yeah, so on each milestone, which you will have played, you'll know your tiny town and your bustling cities and whatever, busy towns and whatever. On each milestone, you get your expansion points that you earn will unlock what are called development points, which are these tech trees. So being able to have taxis and then choosing to have ferries or whatever off of that tech tree. And you also get expansion permits. Those expansion permits are the ability to buy more tiles, and then on each milestone you get a whole bunch of new expansion permits so that you can buy more and more tiles. I don't know if it's I missed this one. Maybe you can tell me. Are these expansion permits basically free tiles, Shawn, or are they the permits to buy these tiles? Did you notice that?
Actually, I didn't notice that, but if they are permits to buy tiles, then they wouldn't be very much of a reward, I would guess.
Yeah.
Because you're getting taxed at the outside, But I did not notice that. I'm curious now. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can see it as just a way of if it's a permit and then you still have to buy the tile, it's just a way of slowing down the game a little bit, which is a good thing. It's a city builder. It's not meant to be a crash 'em sort of game. But
Sure.
but yes, those expansion permits, yeah. This land has to be owned by the government, surely. So these expansion permits are surely the government saying you can build over here. I'm guessing. But yeah, I'm liking, of course, that because they are smaller tiles now, it means that you can buy a little bit over here, a little bit over there. You're not going to end up with necessarily a big grid city.
Yeah, you get to mix and match.
Yeah, which is always the fear. That said, looking at the gameplay so far, we're going to go on to gameplay again in a short while. But this is one of my bullet points for later. But my bullet point for later works here, so I'm going to do that now. The grid city. Looking at the gameplay that we've seen this week, and more about that in a moment, the grid cities looked really good. I mean, the grid cities looked like if you've ever built a city in Cities Skyline, you were going to be able to build a good-looking city in Cities Skylines too. If ever you built a an ugly city in Cities Skylines, which is every one of us, right? Every single one of us has done it. You're gonna also fall into the same trap with Cities Skylines 2, because where Cities Skylines 1 fails badly is with curved roads. Curved roads and zoning is awful. And yes, it's beta footage. Yes, we know the game that we're seeing played in the dev diaries and in streams, etc., is the old version of the game. But I don't suspect, and maybe you'll have a different take on this one, but I don't suspect that changing the way that the zoning is done will be smoother. It's not going to be an easy thing for them to implement. What do you think?
Changing the way the zoning is done?
Yeah.
Would that be an easy thing for them to implement after the fact?
Well, pretty much. If it's yeah.
The thing is, with zoning, it's you want to keep it familiar to the regular Cities Skylines players, so you have to reinvent it in a way that feels familiar and is also works better. And I'm not the person to ask for that. but that has to be the benchmark. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It has to be something that is known, of course. But yeah, when you've got what I'm going to call probably one of the biggest flaws with Cities Skylines 1. And yes, I know grids, square tiles, square buildable cells are not the easiest thing to attach to a curved road. I think that's really understandable. And knowing what the limitations that you're working in, you've got to build around those limitations.
But maybe just like an optional right click, and then your zoning becomes curved. You know?
Yeah. But just the but even with the straight roads, but not on a 90-degree angle. Looking at, I think it was this week's diary, we saw a road cut through a new area, and just the zoning within that was more like a parallelogram. It was just the most horrible thing I have seen. Just the most horrible thing. So yeah, I think unless they can patch that out between now and game release, I think that is going to be a major bugbear for many a player.
For sure.
Right. Anyways, so I've covered that one. Where am I in this script? I've lost myself. Okay, right. I've got so we've got XP, expansion points. There are two forms of expansion points, or there will be. You have active XP, which is pretty much what you'd expect when you put down the building, build a road, anything that you are doing with the mouse, that clicking away, you can score yourself this active XP. Then you get passive XP, where 16 times an hour, or 16 times in an in-game day, the game will reward you with XP for how happy your city is and how naturally it's growing. So I can see maybe placing down a whole bunch of roads, zoning in an area. You'll get your XP for your for the putting down of the roads and putting down of the service building that you want in that area. And then as the city starts growing, you will get some passive XP from that as well. And all of this combined XP will then just enable you to get more expansion permits, of course, which is the way to expand, and more development points as well. So anyway, I think this week's dev diary, that's everything. I don't think we've really missed anything. So if you didn't see the diary, you're completely up to speed.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's pretty short.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, this week though, we had Gamescom, which came from Germany. And there was a little publicity stunt, which I think worked better in somebody's head than worked in real life. It was right. Okay. So if you missed it, this week a few different streamers were dangled from a crane, apparently about 50 feet above the ground, within the skyline, I use that word loosely, of Cologne in Germany. They were officially playing one of the early beta versions of the game. Thanks very much for the invite, Paradox. I just have to say, thanks for the invite. You know, me, we've got Shawn Builds, we've got This Old Gamer. I'm sure Cities by Diana would love to have gone as well. Right. There are others as well. You know, it's like, you know, people that I really should have mentioned but haven't already. I think it would have been fun to have had a few stalwarts of the game to be dangled from a crane.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, thanks for the invite, but it's okay, it's fine, I understand. So what did you think, Shawn, of this Gamescom publicity stunt?
Well, you know, my official comment on my channel was that I was happy to see what I was able to see. So, which wasn't much. But, you know, and the thing is, you know, if there was a Cities Skylines content creator there, they would have been going as far into the game as possible, trying to dig certain things out and find certain things. But everybody else was just kind of having fun there for as much as they could have fun. Yeah. I think it was just a great idea that, you know, that looked good on paper, you know?
Yes. Yeah. So in terms of the streams, I'll let you know what I thought in a minute. What were your thoughts actually on the streams themselves?
Well, you'd have to go to the individual streamer. There was a better feed that way. But the official feed from Cities Skylines YouTube page, I'm assuming probably Twitch page as well, was a really big issue with restreaming. And for those of you who don't know, restreaming, like back in the day, you can use restream.io, and that would just cast you from Twitch to YouTube to Kick and every other social media site you might have. You can also restream between different computers. And so it was just not implemented very well. It wasn't tested properly enough. You know, and it showed, and they even had it in the live stream really early. But the other live streams, which was set up correctly, was doing okay sometimes. But they all had like a shared mic quality, and it was just it was rough to watch.
Yeah, that was the first note that I put was there was poor mic sound across all of the streams. Certainly the ones that I followed. I watched about 5 or 6 of them, not all of them all the way through, but enough to say it made the entire stream more of a curiosity, basically a curiosity than an enjoyable or a learning experience. I don't think I actually learnt anything about Cities Skylines 2 from this. I think that might have been 1 or 2 things that I would have picked up on, but not too much really. It was it basically looked like a whole bunch of players playing a vanilla rules Cities Skylines 1 game, but with graphical improvements. That's what it looked like. I know it was more than that.
For the very first time ever.
Oh, for some of them, it was definitely the first time they'd ever really or maybe the first time for about 6 years they'd played Cities Skylines. It was like, what? Yeah, I would just love to have had somebody in there who's got a bit of recent experience with Skylines. Somebody, not necessarily somebody we see a lot. I would love to have seen Biffa. Literally, I would love to have seen Biffa.
Yeah, well, just you know, yeah, you know, just anybody. This morning they had Rudy Ringhamel was on. I know that for a fact because he had a post on his channel about it, and it was a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know. I understand what they're going for, because it's like, okay, these are all new streamers who don't normally play Cities Skylines ever at all, and so new people will be able to see the game.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, no. It just didn't work out. Again, on paper it looked great, but making it come to fruition was seemed to be a challenge for them, which they kind of got a little bit better at. But it was rough. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, I guess there's always going to be technical problems if you dangle people from a crane and tell them to play a computer game. Yeah. So what I took from from watching the screens, what did I learn from a couple of hours switching between different streamers? Well, in the gameplay options, you can switch off nighttime visuals. You still get the day-night cycle, so you still get people getting up in the morning, going to work, coming back. But those people that don't like building in the nighttime, you can actually switch the night visuals off. So you'll still get the
do
day-night
that.
cycles, but you won't have the nightfall, unless you want to switch it on for those lovely, lovely screenshots. The other thing, Chirper, I might start liking. I hate saying this. I might like it. He's there, but he's tucked away on the right hand side rather than slap bang in the middle of the screen, in your face all the time. So he's not so intrusive. So that I liked. And the models are a huge graphical upgrade. There's no question there. So those were the main three things. One thing from you. Keep it short because we've got one last thing to squeeze in.
For me,
Yeah.
about the game, or I mean,
Well, yeah. Was there anything that one specific thing that grabbed you?
I think that development tree thing is actually a big step up for the game. I just wanted to actually say how much that will actually allow different play styles.
Yeah. Okay then, right. Well, we'll finish with anybody who's interested in the 81 player collaboration. There'll be movement this week. This upcoming week, I'll personally be building my tile. I will share the footage, and included in that video there'll be all the info for what you need to do next. If you want to get involved in the 81 player collaboration, there are still about 20 tiles available, so let me know in the comments to this video. I will get a tile assigned to you, and I'll also make sure that you get a link so that you can watch the original rules. It's a longish video, the original rules, but it's all very, very common sense. You'll understand it when you see it. Are you involved, Shawn? Tell everybody, are you involved in the 81 player collaboration?
I am not, but good luck to everybody who is.
Yeah. There, that's commitment to the cause. There, that is commitment to the cause. Yeah, it's just a single tile. You get given a tile, and you get to build on the tile. It's all fun. But yes, so I think we're kind of at the end of the show. So if you'd like to say your farewells, that'd be great.
This is always an honor. BonBonB is a legend. I'm always glad to be here. But if you don't know, I cover all the news on Cities Skylines too. So come over to my channel, subscribe if you want to. If not, it's all good. Still love you.
And I'm saying bye bye.